National Scale Exercise. 2019 Nuclear Emergency Exercise. To enhance competence of nuclear emergency response mechanism and ensure safety and protection of the public, the 2019 Nuclear Emergency Exercise was carried out by the Atomic Energy Council, local government, and Taipower Company TPC in the area around the Ma'anshan Nuclear Power Plant, NPP, and nearby. The purpose of the exercise is to check the capability of the governments on disasters relief by interregional and interministerial collaboration, and to verify the feasibility of response mechanisms, procedure of decision-making, and relevant response plans. Also to help the residents acquire knowledge on protective actions through public participation and communication. Better protection, more protection. In order to verify the capability of mobilization of emergency response team, an unnotified drill was carried out on weekend. All the emergency response staff of Ma'anshan, NPP, have arrived and reported for position duty within time limit and completed setting up the response center. The national scale exercise consists of tabletop exercise and full participation exercise. The scenario is simulated a 7.0 magnitude earthquake had occurred in northwest Hengchu Township, leading to loss of off-site power at Ma'anshan NPP and malfunction of power system on site. The recovery work is going on with greatest efforts. An accident occurred in the auxiliary building of Unit 1, and a worker were injured with radiological contamination during the repair work. After first aid and decontamination, the worker was sent to Hengchuan Christian Hospital for further treatment. Meanwhile, the on-site responders continually worked on sources, water, and power supply to avoid deterioration of the accident. In terms of water supply, the fire trucks were used to feed water into the condensation tank. In terms of power supply, the plant is equipped with several types of backup power, such as 480-volt mobile diesel generator, supplying power to ensure that the Technical Support Center, TSC, is working. During the accident, the government announces the closure of the beaches and coastline around the power plant, and the tourists were suggested to evacuate. The aerial drones were used to broadcast and monitor the evacuation of tourists. As the accident worsened, the nuclear power plant requested additional support from Taipower headquarters. The interregional rescue mechanism was activated, and the PRAM, Power Equipment Repair and Maintenance team from TPC South Office was mobilized. The other power plants are sending maintenance equipment and technician onto the accident nuclear power plant. The responders on scene have managed to mitigate the damage and risks through pumping water from the wharf and channeling water from the sea as backup water supplies. The emergency repair work continued to the night. In a situation of station blackout, the 4.16 kilovolt portable power supply was lined up, switched on. Since the accident is not effectively controlled, the Central and Local Emergency Response Center released the news and warnings through various medias and activated the public protective actions. First of all, nuclear emergency siren was sent out by the Siren System in Emergency Planning Zone, EPZ, of the Ma'anshan Nuclear Power Plant, and an emergency notification was broadcasted through Cell Broadcast System, the Local Broadcast Service, LBS, phone calls, line group of the National Science and Technology Center for Disaster Reduction, and the Police Broadcasting Service radio station. The alarm siren was released to the Hengchuan Township and Manzhou Township in Pingdong County at 10 o'clock in the morning. The traffic control was executed accordingly. The residents in the EPZ shall shelter in-house. The local government distributed iodine tablets and continually conduct traffic control and the evacuation of the tourists. The vulnerable group has priority while evacuation under a safe condition. Ma'anshan Nuclear Power Plant is keeping loose cooling water significantly. The situation is getting more intractable. The resident within 3 km in the EPZ was precautionary evacuated at this moment. They started to gather and prepare for evacuation. car accident occurred on the evacuation route, and responders immediately came to rescue to make sure the evacuation route is clear. At Hopihu Fishing Harbor, the evacuation by boats is executed simultaneously. Following the evacuation is the reception and accommodation of evacuees. The school's evacuation in the affected area is completed, and the children could stay in the host schools where they could be received properly and carefully. All the contamination screening stations with medical care service were established. Contamination detection and decontamination were carried out subsequently. While contamination is detected as people walk through the radiation portal monitor, the decontamination will be proceeded to ensure people is free from radiation. The reception center was set up in military base where clean water and food are provided. A large number of rescue supply has arrived in succession at the reception center. Evacuees also arrived at the reception center successively. Before getting into the center, a radiation portal monitor was set up to make sure they were free from the contamination. The reception centers were set up methodically, where the radiological contamination consultant and entertainment facilities are provided. People received both physical and mental care in the reception center. Meanwhile, the area for radiation detection was expanded. Radiation Monitoring Center was working with the Supporting Center for Interregional Mobilization and Task Assignment. 23 mobile detection devices were set up immediately. A scenario in about one of devices was broke down. The responders replaced it right away and back to service. Besides terrestrial monitoring, the maritime radiation monitoring and seawater sampling were also conducted simultaneously at Hopihu Fishing Harbor. Moreover, aerial drones were utilized for radiation detection in a hot area. The samples of the grass, fish, and dairy products were sent to the lab for contamination screening to assure the public and the environment are free from contamination. Conclusion. The success of the 2019 nuclear emergency exercise are attributed to the comprehensive preparedness and response effectively, and the tabletop exercise and the full participation exercise has been fully exerted as well. Through the nuclear emergency exercise, the issues are identified. Based on the issues, we constantly work on corrective actions so that the integrated capability on compound disaster relief has been strengthened. Gratitude to all the participants in the 2019 nuclear emergency exercise. We'll do our best to ensure the safety of the public away from radiological hazard. Atomic Energy Council is always with you.